The organization Human Rights Campaign declares a state of emergency in Florida since Ron Desantis is not allowed a mutilation of children. The HRC says families are moving out of Florida since they are subject to threats, that Florida is a hostile state, and Ron DeSantis is abusing his position. We'll take a dive into whether Ron DeSantis or transgenderism is the biggest threat to children. Then Ron DeSantis is not only the enemy of the HRC, but also Gavin Newsome, the governor of California. They have an ongoing feud, and we'll kind of take a dive into that. And then presidential nominee Vivek Ramaswamy goes on ABC News and talks about Russian-Ukraine war and what is the top priority for the military of the United States. And then finally, I'll talk a little bit more on how God is a foundation for a good society and country. I'm Solo. This is the Solo Show. So, on Monday, I talked about how many news outlets, politicians, and celebrities talk about the anti-trans bills being introduced in America. We took a look into Florida's recent bills passed labeled as anti-trans by the left. These bills caused the Human Rights Campaign, which is an organization for minority groups, and they declared a state of emergency in Florida. They are claiming Ron DeSantis is threatening the lives of transgender people, that he is abusing his power, and is fascist. The left love to use this word. They love to call anybody who they disagree with fascist. So if you're conservative, Republican, and you want to know if you're heading in the right direction, if you're getting called by the left a fascist, you're doing perfectly fine. So, DeSantis is not restricting anyone above the legal age from making life-altering decisions. Just like how we have laws in America where if you're under 18, you cannot get a tattoo, you cannot buy a firearm, tobacco, or alcohol. This is not a radical position at all. It is very sensible. When do we ever let children that will forever alter their life? When do we let children mutilate perfectly fine body parts because Timmy doesn't feel masculine? There is no reason why we should be divided on this issue, and the majority of the country does not. The right obviously opposes the mutilation of children, moderates as well, and even some people on the left. This shows how radical this viewpoint is. And then you'll hear these people say, if we don't give them sex reaffirming care, that they'll commit suicide, and the suicide rates are extremely high. And then this is true. The trans community has a high suicide rate before and after transition. In many studies, suicide rates do not even decrease after transition. Gender-affirming surgery does not help these people. Even the Obama administration came to this conclusion in 2016 after many requests for gender-reaffirming care to be covered by Medicare. This means there's something deeper to their confusion, and instead of being a society that plays along with their confusion, we must figure out the actual root cause of it and attack it there to help them. That is why transgenderism as a movement needs to be eradicated from society. Moving on, I made a post the other day about Gavin Newsome calling Ron DeSantis a small, pathetic man for sending migrants from Florida to California. From Florida to California. This is hypocritical in two ways. First, when Gavin Newsome was the mayor of San Francisco, he has a program where he shipped homeless people back to where they came from. This shows how people in politics have a very short memory and never stay consistent. His staff came to his defense and said this is completely different. These homeless people wanted to go. They have consent. The crazy thing is, these migrants have all consented to go to the places DeSantis takes them to. So it is exactly the same. It is incredible how the Democrats will criticize you for doing the exact same thing that they have done. Honestly, I expected Newsome to announce that he was running for president. He would obviously be the front runner for the Democrats. I believe now the front runner is Joe Biden. Newsome is way younger, can actually formulate a sentence people could understand. And I think that the battle between DeSantis and Newsome would be a historic battle. And you can see them constantly taking jabs at each other. I think that American people would want to see an America like Florida. I mean, Californians sure do. California saw the largest out-migration in 2022, and Florida saw the most domestic net gain in 2022. The average American does not agree with the radical left. Then next we have the president nominee Vivek Ramaswamy when he recently went on ABC News and talked about the war between Russia and Ukraine. And he has one of the most sensible plans of action and view on it. He said that Russian-Ukraine war is not the top priority for the American military. The top threat is the Russian-China alliance. By arming and strengthening Ukraine, we are pushing Russia into the arms of China. This alliance is what we should be worried about. He would end the war and get Putin out of the alliance with China by giving concessions to Russia, never allow Ukraine to join NATO, freezing lines of control, and in return, Russia has to leave the joint military treaty with China, which will also deter China from invading Taiwan. He is absolutely correct. By arming Ukraine and pushing Putin into a corner, he becomes dangerous to the rest of the world. This is someone who, if he loses this, he has nothing else to lose, and there's no reason why he would not start a World War III. And this is again why he is having joint military treaties with China. He knows he is losing this battle, and obviously Putin, being the egotistical man he is, he's gonna not want to lose. Obviously, so we need to dissolve the relationship between the two, and the only way we could do that is giving something to Putin, and that is worth more than the alliance with China. This is the dispute, Russia and Ukraine, between two countries that have been going on since the post-Soviet era. There is going to be no end that makes both sides happy, and this is something that we're going to have to move past, and is not the top priority.